welcome to Extra Minutes, the official podcast of West Texas FC, sponsored by Case Corporate.
Welcome to Extra Minutes, the official West Texas FC podcast. My name is Luke McDonald. I'm here with Adam Reed, and we're here at the Film Hunter Media offices because this was kind of the best place for us to record today with all the weather and everything, and we wanted to make sure and get this one out as quickly as possible because turns out we've got another game on Saturday.
Yeah, we just keep rolling.
It's so weird. I'm curious your experience because we haven't actually talked about this. The idea, and we talked a little bit about this with Molina last night, right? That at this point in the season, every one of these games could be the last game, not just of the season, but with this team, like this group of guys and this, coaching staff, and because next season the only thing that we're really guaranteed is kind of those of us who are working, who are from here or who are involved in kind of the backroom stuff, right? The AV or Melissa doing a lot of the managing, and then the obviously the Cannons, the ownership group. So the idea that everyone, like the game last night could have been the very last game for this group of players that we've kind of all been so attached to. And Molina said something that I thought a lot about, which was, the only thing we can do is not take any of it for granted, right? And just enjoy it because it literally might be the last time. And every time we win, it's just like, not just the elation of winning a game, but getting to see another one is like so exciting. And I don't know, it's so, this thing that's so much fun that I love so much being a part of is hanging by a thread, and that adds so much intensity to it that I just want to soak it all in. Have you kind of given much thought to that?
Yeah, I mean, additionally, something Coach said last night that really hit me is he was like, 8 teams left. I mean, we're Elite 8, right now, and that's crazy. Like, nationally, our team has made it this far, our second year in existence. And yeah, I mean, it didn't really register to me the fact that a lot of our players have just the way MPSL works, and I'm still learning this. It's still kind of nutty to me the way they run some of the stuff they do. But the way our season is set up is now that we're at the games we're at right now, there's some team or some players that have conflicts and have to get to another team that they are signed on for or whatever. And I mean, there's visas that are expiring and stuff. I mean, it's just stuff where it's pretty crazy that there's this excitement of what we've been able to accomplish up to this point. Even Melina said last night that she's not even as stressed at this point because it's man, how fortunate are we to be where we are right now, to have this team, to have these players that aren't just good, but genuinely care about the community, like it here, love the people. I mean, we see so many of these players, bending down on a knee after they just ran their butts off for 90 plus minutes. They're getting down on the ground to take pictures with 4-year-olds, and I mean, they're taking pictures and signing autographs, and there's squealing 12-year-old girls about the goalie that accidentally bumped into him or whatever, and they're just nice, great people, great representatives. And it just breaks your heart to see them leave. But at the same time, like you said, you want to just go, wow, how lucky are we? This is so cool that we are facing, teams in the playoffs, and half the game we can breathe easy because we're just smoking them. Even without, some of our best weapons, we're still taking care of business easily. And man, that's just, it's exciting, and you don't want it to end. I mean, every season has to end at some point, but it also on the other side, so there is the sweet and happy, and I'll never forget this season. Some of these players and these moments and some of these goals and some of these saves. But on the other side, NPSL is also kind of wacky. Sorry. On the other side, NPSL is also wacky. Like, I mean, the way it's set up is like we're now at the most important games of the season, and like every team is now saying goodbye to starters, which is weird. And that doesn't, I mean, maybe it happens in other areas of other sports, but in my experience, it doesn't. I mean, you have attrition by this person got hurt or injured and whatever, or got traded, and that's to be expected and whatever, that's part of it. But to lose players because they have to go play somewhere else, that just is heartbreaking. And it's one of the things I'm curious to kind of see how Midland as a community responds to that as fans, because again, you get attached to players and all of a sudden they're not there. You know, do you go, well, now it doesn't matter, you know, okay, we're Elite Eight, but now we don't have this guy or that guy, and or are they going to go, you know what, we're still West Texas FC, dang it, and every year we're going to be West Texas FC.
right.
And there's still, I don't care who it is on the field, they're repping the blue and gold, and they're going to go out there and give it their all. I mean, it's an interesting deal. But yeah, it's a whole mess of good and happy and all the emotions and all the memories. But yeah, it's what from your kind of more seasoned soccer experience or football experience, like what is it like for you to kind of go through this playoff season and what it means for the team, and then the good, the bad, the attrition, all that?
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, coming from like primarily being an English Premier League fan. Like, sure, you lose players due to injury, they go off to play for national teams, they get traded, but even the trading, there are 2 windows, and it's when there's no games, you know. So like in English Premier League, and I think it's fair to say the big leagues around the world, it's kind of similar, but it reminds me a bit more of like American college sports, you know, like being a fan of, say, like a college quarterback, right? Like, you know, that guy isn't there for the next 10 years, right? Like, well, I don't know, maybe kind of depends
Well,
right now.
nowadays with, you know, yeah, it's like you're buying a player for a season
Right.
now, so.
Right, but I guess more to say, like, you know, an athlete's time collegiately has a time on it, timer on it.
Yeah.
Where at some point they're either gonna be done or they're gonna move on and be in the pros, right? And so there's like this natural timeline to that process. But this is that, but like in a way shortened version.
Yeah.
You know, those guys, you know, you count years. In this league, you count months, you know, and it's about the same number, you know, but it also, like, I think at the beginning of the season, that was something that was kind of sad to me. Like, oh man, like as soon as I started to get to know the players on a personal level, but also just like, I knew I wanted to see Fred, you know, on the back line. I wanted to see Shuntaro Endo kick a, you know, cross field ball to him. Like you get to want to see, because you know what that guy can do. I know what Luke can do now.
You're ready for the highlights.
Oh, dude. And I'm like, when he gets the ball, it's like, watch Luke, you know, or, you know, Appia, or, I mean, just, pick one, right? Yeah. Now we know him. And besides that, we've like talked to him.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're like genuinely some of the greatest people like you could ever hope to meet. Yeah. And so it's like this, I think it made initially, I mean, there's definitely a sadness to it, but it also makes it, you know, it's kind of like that idea of like, you know, life is short, and that makes it sweet. You know, the idea that something that has a temporary life almost like makes you value it more. And so something like these seasons that are so like short, it just makes you want to just like camp out in them. You know, because this has only been a couple months, but it feels like way more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of what's so much fun about it, right? Is that not only do we get to remember this time, but like next season, for instance, being a Liverpool fan, there are guys coming back that you love because of what they've done. But at some point, you're going to have to say goodbye to that guy. And you'd rather, for instance, we lost our coach. No one was ready for him to leave, right? If you're a Liverpool fan. And actually, most of the Premier League didn't want him to leave just because he's just that cool of a guy. But you'd rather him leave when you still like it, when you still like him, when you still like the way he does things. You want him to leave on top so that you have nothing but good memories. You don't want him sticking around, because that happens a lot, right? Where you have a coach or a player or whatever stick around so long that you see the demise, and then you think about him differently. And that's kind of a bummer too. But what's kind of cool is, we're 2 seasons in and we have 2 successful seasons.
Yeah.
So the things that are staying and the things that are constant are really good, right? The canons, for instance, the decisions that they've made along the way have led us to where we sit today.
Yeah.
Right? The way Melissa has run things so well has led us to where we are today. The way the fans have supported the team has led us to where we are today. And those things will be the same. And so you kind of have to just trust that, like, look, it's not a fluke, right? Because we've done it twice now. And sure, there'll be seasons that maybe aren't as successful. Maybe, right? But we have 2 in the bag that so far at least say the people who are calling these shots know what they're doing, to a degree that we can just be excited. Because what if we get to meet 11 to 18 new people next season and get to know them, right? And sure, we'll miss the Ollies and the Appias and the that whole cast of characters, but at the same time, we get to meet a whole new cast of characters, and maybe some of those guys will come back. That's what we were talking to Melina about, like, hey, can these guys just like all come back next season? And it's like, maybe, but they've done so good that who knows who's watching, and maybe we're watching these guys,
it might be in their best interest to move on.
Right. Well, for their
career.
Yeah. And you wouldn't ever want to change that, Well, I mean, you'd be conflicted.
Selfishly, you wanna see, MVP every year at on our team, but it's like, Correa is gonna have some pretty damn good offers, and anyone who cares about him is gonna say, yeah, you should take that. Yeah.
And it's interesting that it feels like we're on like a soliloquy a bit of the team because we can win every game, and there's not that many games left. And if we lose any of them, we know it's over. But at the same time, it just feels like, regardless, things are kind of winding down to an end.
Yeah.
And I fully expect us to have those 3 games. And if we can end the season, so I just looked it up, there are 90 teams in NPSL. 90 teams, and we are in the top 8 today.
On our 2nd season.
And our, how, if you look at the previous games and how much we have won those games by, it's staggering. Like, we aren't slowing down at all. And, a handful of games left to be the best team in the entire country is like mind-boggling, right? Like, it's just like, we had teams that we had brutal, hard battles against rooting for us in the last game, because now it's like a Lone Star League pride thing, right? It's like, we're going to battle tooth and nail in a really competitive league with some really good teams to try and beat them. And then once we became the top, they said, okay, y'all go win the whole thing. Like, prove to the entire place, this is the league that if you make it out of, we are the group of death, right? You make it out of this league, you can go all the way, because that's how this league is, right? And we were at those games, right? We were at Laredo, we were at Denton. Like, these teams with Lubbock, I mean, those games are brutal, right? We got beat by those teams this season, and then we have beat those teams this season. So we know what it's like, but it's I just can't believe, like, I remember mid-season thinking, like, maybe we can eke out like 3rd or 4th, right? And that'd be awesome. Did I think we would be just like in nothing but home games, because our record is so phenomenal? Our goal difference looks like a Premier League season because of how many freaking goals this team scores. and it's just amazing. I at one point when we were talking about who's our MVP, right? We have to pick somebody to submit for MVP of the Lone Star League, and it's like I can't even pick an MVP necessarily on our team.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't have to make that choice.
Oh yeah, goodness, can you imagine? Like, okay, here's your front line and here's your midfield. Like, all these guys.
And here's your keep. I mean, God,
right. Even in the keeper position where there's only one on the field at any given point in time.
Yeah.
And we had two that had outstanding seasons, or having outstanding seasons. So I guess there will be more of this type of conversation on the big level, but let's talk about we on Saturday could become not just the champions of Texas, not just the champion of our kind of region or our area, but the South.
The South.
The South. Like, we could win and hold the title of the best team in this entire portion of the country, and it's at home against a team having to travel a long way from Georgia.
Yeah.
Who also had to play in extra time, which we'll take any advantage we can get. Because,
absolutely.
As both coaches, Scotty and David, said last night, this will be a tough one.
Yeah.
And
toughest one we played.
Yeah, that was what they said. Yeah. So what are you, this feels like, we've said, like, this will be the game of the season. This will be, like, we didn't even know we could get to this level, right? I think we all knew it was possible. Did we, we probably wouldn't even bet on it after some of those games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here we are, Elite Eight. How does the kind of build up to this game feel to you? Saturday at home, humongous final for the South region.
Man, it's. I mean, like Melina said, we're playing with house money. It's exciting. It's so fun. I mean, if ever I was gonna pick a region to want to brag about winning, it's the South. We just naturally are super prideful people down here anyways. But it's just like, man, how cool to just even be in that position.
Yep.
And then it makes me think of something. We were able to talk to Correa after the game and congratulate him on MVP and stuff. And very quickly, without even blinking, he's like, oh, it's a team.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, it's MVP, most valuable player.
Right.
And he's like, no, do you see the score up on the scoreboard?
Yeah.
And it was hilarious going like, you're right. Like, this next game, Saturday, we might not see all the same players, but the next man's going to step up and he's going to fight just as hard as anyone else. And I think, maybe even harder, because now all of a sudden you're given your shot and, man, you're going to take it. And every single one of these guys completely belong on the team.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, they are all there for a reason. They are all very good at what they do. And at the end of the day, Coach has a scheme that, I mean, it's been amazing to watch the team completely buy into, and it just almost, they just plug in, and if they play as a unit, then it's hard to stop us. Right. I mean, last game, there were some of the best passes we've seen all season. These one-touch, quick passes where
that
it's
first
just
goal.
Oh, I mean,
when it was Luke to Kareem Williams.
Just
gorgeous.
I mean, I don't care who's on the field. If I see that, great game. I mean, I'm gonna be happy, and I know without a doubt that we're gonna see that. Yep. And Coach is gonna put these players in the proper position, and they are gonna be fired up and ready to go and give it all. And it's really, again, it's kind of funny that, I mean, very few players on our team are from the state, much less the states.
Right.
And yet there's like this pride that they have where it's like, I mean, I will give everything for you on that field. And that's exciting to watch. And again, I think as a whole, as a team, they realize it's not a me, it's a us. And I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday. And that is what makes me believe, like, again, I don't care who steps on that field to play against us. Like, they're going to have their work cut out for them because we're going to be ready to go.
Right. Well, and let's talk a little bit about the last game, because it was kind of an interesting one. It felt a little bit nervy at the beginning. And I think it's a little bit of a few lineup changes that just kind of shifted the dynamics around a little bit. And it was kind of almost like everyone's getting used to the pieces that have moved and kind of their new role in what's happening, right?
As the first one, a nice block here by Kareem Williams, which ironically he's the subject of our second highlight as well. As he had the only goal of the first half, we see Luke McCormick here with nice little dance his way through his defenders. Marquez back to McCormick, able to deliver the cross to the middle, a little bit slow toward that back post was Lopez.
One, it was just like we're in this kind of like, okay, what's happening, right? And then that goal was like, oh, that was the echoes of what we've been doing, right? And then the whole second half was like, oh, this is what we did. This is where Parrish is supposed to kind of do that, and then Oppie is gonna, I can make these runs, and Liam is just like freaking Speedy Gonzalez, just like running up and down the pitch.
I don't know how he does it.
At the end of the game, I'm like, we have another game after this. Like, you need to chill out. Like, you need some gas in the tank. And he's like, nope, screw that. I'm going to score. And God, I wanted him to score so bad. He had a couple of opportunities where everyone was just like, I think Brandon on the broadcast was even like, every single person in this place wants Liam to score. And it feels like every player wants him to score.
Well, and credit to him, he's not forcing it either. No. I mean, there were several times where we're like, shoot it.
Yeah.
And he passes it back, and it's like, okay, that's the right move. We need to waste some time.
He's being smart. Yeah. But yeah, so the first half and the second half, are pretty different. But I really felt like the second half, a few of the players stepped up, and I mean, Kareem Williams had a killer game. I thought Luke McCormick was just, I mean, he's one of those guys that just works so hard for 90 full minutes and never stops. I mean, the way he can split the defense and the way, like, the ball's glued to his feet, like, he'll just sail into a group of defenders and somehow end up on the other end. I don't know how it works. I would love to see, like, slow-mo played back footage of all those things. But he played good. And then, of course, Antoine getting the 2 goals was so good. That first one was crazy. I still don't quite understand how it went in, or kind of how that developed in his head to chip him at that point, because I didn't see it coming. But the second is just pure class. I mean, if you look back at the footage, I'm sure we'll play it, the angle is not easy that he has to shoot. He's got a defender running up on his right. He's got the goalie coming out. And honestly, the defense and the goalie, exactly where they need to be. And it leaves a small window on the right-hand side of the post, near the post, where you can shoot it. And he just pockets it. I mean, it was smooth.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of, like, okay, that guy, right? Just the composure to be in that spot and not let the adrenaline take over and just skyrocket it, right? Which we've had those moments too this season, but man, just cool as you like, just tap it in that corner. But yeah, what a great game. And I'll say their keeper made one of my favorite saves of the year. It's a weird to say, like, the opposition keeper, but God, what a save. And Alex had a great game too. So it's hard. I want to mention every single player by name because
absolutely,
I think everybody had a great game. And we needed it.
That was a solid team win.
Yeah. And it's hard to even pick out a single person because there was just a lot. I'm Ethan Stevenson, right? I mean, let's not forget one of the goal scorers, right? But in the whole game, some of the passes that he made into the box, I mean, and he's been solid all year too. definitely in that short list of MVP players. I think him and McCormick, and then obviously Antoine, Ollie, and maybe let's talk about Ollie winning, because we got to do a little announcement last night, but it wasn't a big to do. I wouldn't be surprised if that was because Ollie was uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
He's just the most soft-spoken, kind person.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the field and just dominates. I mean, the guy, it's hard to imagine him being vicious or mean, even though I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you talk to him and he's just the nicest. You were mentioning that conversation we had with him after the game where it was and we just went over to him. We're like, Ollie, congratulations, man. You are so deserving of this.
Yeah.
Right? And he was the one who's like, oh, it's a team thing, man.
Yeah.
But Ollie, I think, is just, if a major team doesn't look at that highlight reel and eat that guy up, then I know nothing about football.
Yeah.
Because the way that guy plays is just incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the biggest pitches someday soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to follow him. I mean, I can't wait to watch more from him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Fred. I kept talking about Fred with Adam and I. We got the headsets right to be able to talk about the camera stuff as we're doing the stream. And I just felt like the whole game I'm just going, oh, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Right? He was just, after the game, he looked gassed.
Yeah.
And how could you not? That is a very large man running very quickly up and down the field and just cleaning up. I mean, he's just the janitorial staff, right? Just making sure everything is nice and spotless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What a game he had. So anyway, we could talk on and on and on, but Saturday is the time, right? To the Final Four. I mean, that's what you want, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to battle the best, in the country, and we're going to get to do that. So it's us versus Columbus from Georgia, not Ohio.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a Columbus, Georgia.
Me neither. But and what's interesting is this is their first season. So man, kudos.
Oh,
that's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And they played what looked like a brutal game against Hickory FC.
Yeah.
So shout out to Hickory because they gave them a run for their money and then some.
Well, and now, I don't remember what the coach said their travel time is to get here.
Yeah.
But that's also brutal.
Right. Well, you're already playing 2 games a week, just like we are. The deck is stacked against Columbus, and, sometimes that can be a negative thing, because if you've got nothing to lose, you can be really dangerous. And, and sometimes we can get a little too comfortable, right? And something Brian and I were talking about, Brian, our super fan with the drum, he was commenting last night, something that I hadn't really thought about, is our record at home will just make you smile. It is, let's say, good. Right? That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. and the goal spread is insane. We're putting up football scores, American football scores.
Yeah.
But our crowd last night was, I think, the loudest it's ever been. It was so fun.
When it slowly built, it was they were waiting for that first goal. They hit it. They celebrated. And then it just ramped up as the night went on.
Right. When we were talking last night, to have that many people show up and be that involved after freaking dust storm blows through, torrential rain, and we're like, no one's coming. Because in Midland, if the rain, if you get this much bad weather, everyone goes indoors and shuts the door and holes up.
Mm-hmm.
But man, what a turnout for a weeknight game.
Yeah. We saw a bunch of fans we had never seen at the game.
Right.
People we knew. And we're like, oh, they're here. Oh, they're here.
I met a Liverpool fan. Shout out to Wilson. Had fun talking to him. And again, it's just your people, when you're in that kind of thing. But something Brian said is, what our fan base is so awesome. But what really proves a fan base is when your team is down and needs you. Right? And both of us said, oh, I think we're that fan base. But we don't know this season because we haven't been down.
No.
We haven't. Our team has met that occasion and we've gone there with them, right? But we haven't had that time where we've got to lift them up and be that true 12th man. And maybe we won't. that'd be awesome. Like he was saying,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
look,
good
I'm
with
not
coasting.
complaining. I'd much rather just roll over teams.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of anxious to feel that challenge, and I was talking to David and Scotty about that last night. Like, I want to meet somebody. I want to be playing at our best and meet another team at their best and go toe to toe.
Yeah,
like,
just a heavyweight
I want to
knockout.
see
Yeah.
it, man. Because I think I said this when I did my little video from Miami. I think we've got another gear, but you don't go there unless someone pushes you into it. And part of me is like, if I don't see that all season and we win the whole thing, I'm not upset,
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see it too. I want to see what this group of players can actually do if you put them in that position. And I want to see what our fan base will do when we get put in that position. So it'll be I want the biggest turnout of any game that we've had so far this year, because again, could be our last. Could be our last home game.
Yeah.
Even if we end up with more games, we just don't know, what's going to happen, and so we have to treat it like it's the big finale, because it might be. And so,
it starts early, right? As we heard from Brian, tailgating is going to be happening in the parking lot. There'll be, food. Everyone should show up. Bring your grill. Bring a cooler of whatever you want inside.
That's right.
Like, have some fun, get ready, and get loud. And
there was an after party after the game last night. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I shouldn't say that.
And now we're back from Adam suggesting things that he shouldn't suggest to get us all in trouble.
Sorry, I'm a Texas Tech fan, and we throw things at games, and
Yeah, so we won't talk about the tortillas. So Saturday, 6:00 is when everyone's kind of start showing up and hanging out. Don't be afraid to go talk to people. Get hyped up for the game. We'll be there. Come and chat with us. We'd love to get hyped about the game and talk about the season. And then at 7:30, that's when the show begins, and we get to see kind of what we're made of, us and our boys. And so it'll be a good one.
Let's take the South.
Yeah, that just sounds good, doesn't
it? The South is ours.
Yeah.
Midland, Texas.
That's right. Unreal. So we'll see you there.
Far corner of the 15-yard box or 18-yard box to be knocked down. Get kick, it's a goal! Along the left wing, he's making the run. McCormick finds him. Appia, corner to the back post. Appia! Stevenson moving forward. Ethan with space. Ethan Stevenson moves and goes! That's a full-time whistle. West Texas FC are victorious here this evening 4-1, and they will host Columbus United here on Saturday in the South Region Final.